What's up, Legion? Welcome back. It is I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. This is the show that we follow TNA and WWE, which means, of course, my co-host, my partner in crime, my tag team partner, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wright. How you doing, Mike?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream.
So this was an interesting week in wrestling where we are getting teams set up for War Games. TNA is leading into a new pay-per-view. A lot of stuff is happening. We have a women's U.S. title that's been that we're currently in the middle of a tournament for. A lot of exciting things going on in the world of wrestling. Surprisingly, a lull in the outside world of wrestling news. Like, not a whole lot of stuff happening that we have to report as far as, luckily, no deaths. Luckily, no one doing anything crazy. There's not a whole lot of like wrestling world drama. So small wins here. But real quick, guys, we're going to get into our nonprofits that we support. Of course, the first is going to be Tap Cancer Out, a series of jiu-jitsu tournaments that help out with varying cancer relief funds, including but not limited to Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descent, and of course, Tom Coughlin's J Fund. The other one that we have been that we've been promoting, of course, is the American Red Cross and their disaster relief fund, helping out with varying disasters, but more specifically the hurricane relief from both Helene and Milton, and if this other third hurricane does eventually form, which we will see. We'll see. Right now,
We'll see. Weather's been weird recently, man. Like New
weather's
Jersey's
been
in the
very
middle.
weird. I
in
mean,
the
you
middle
live
of
in
a
New
drought.
Jersey where it's
There's a middle of a
30
drought,
degrees
and
one
there's
day and then it's 70 degrees the next.
not just that. There's a drought. It actually was raining today, and there's been wildfires. I feel like I live in California in the summertime.
I heard there's literally wildfires on both coasts.
Yeah,
It's so
nuts.
weird. So, folks, as always, please help out with these varying nonprofits. The third one that we have been promoting is, of course, Chris Bay's GoFundMe. Again, I know we say this every week, every show, but if you don't know what happened to Chris Bay, he was performing a springboard cutter, landed wrong, and had to be rushed out for emergency neck surgery. He's a very talented performer. He's a young man, and we think the world of his work, if nothing else. And from the sounds of things, he is very well liked. We have never met him personally, but it seems like the wrestling world loves him. So as far as the business goes, it's very rare that you find someone that everyone in the world is kind of loves in this business. And Chris Bay seems to be that way right now. So folks, as always, we will, follow the QR code that's posted. I will have the links to all of these nonprofits in our descriptions below. There are also links in all of our social media accounts, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I believe there's even some stuff on TikTok for you. But with that said, let's get down to some wrestling.
You won't do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. We're going to start off with TNA, Total Nonstop Action, and their Impact program. Again, we are the champions of TNA wrestling. No one loves TNA kind of as much as we do. And it's hard not to at this point. They put on a really great program. And we say it every week. The only issue that I ever see with TNA is that they have a little less than great production value. But with that said, it is still probably the best single wrestling program out there. They definitely have the best tag team division of any wrestling show that I pay attention to.
They definitely do. A 50% increase in in production quality would go exponentially far with them.
I agree. So this show starts off with Mike Santana versus Casey Navarro from First Class. This is a really cool match. This is the way I see this match is this is what Swerve Strickland versus Leo Rush should have been for
Mhm.
AEW last week. Um, First of all, Casey Navarro also has AJ Francis on the outside. It makes a lot more sense for him to get the advantage sometimes because of he's got a giant on the outside of the ring. Navarro's really impressed me during this match. He has, for not being the hugest guy in the world, he has a super high drop kick. Like he T-boned Santana. Santana's a 6 foot something dude. And like I said, Casey Navarro's probably 5'7", 5'8", and he just literally just nailed him flush with it. This match had just enough from Casey Navarro for me to say he wasn't squashed, but it wasn't a 50-50 match. This is Santana's been so over. This should not have been
So
a
over.
50-50
And they're
match.
pushing him so hard too. I get it with Top Dollar on the outside. If he gets more involved, how you can kind of prolong this fight a little bit and give it a little bit more of that drama. But Mike Santana should have got over very quick with this, the way they're building him.
It wasn't a super long match. It was actually kind of perfect. They got just enough in there. They showed that Navarro had some toughness to him. Everything about this was it was done right. I think everyone left this match looking strong, and that's what you want from this. Santana doesn't leave looking weaker because he beat up a kid. Navarro comes out of that looking stronger because he was at least able to hang somewhat with a veteran. We go right from that. We get a real quick backstage Namath Brothers promo. I'm going to ask you this, Showtime. We've been watching a lot of the stuff for TNA lately. Is Nick Namath going to be a heel, or is this just all to paint him as like a red herring?
It's a good question, and I don't really have an answer because it could go either way. Without the system on top and the inability to make Joe Hendry to heel, I could see them going down the heel route, and that's why you bring someone like JBL in and you align him with Nick. There's no way JBL comes out and he's a face. Like that's just not going to happen. It's not going to be taken seriously. So like at the end of the day, I think that you probably are seeing the heel shift of Nick towards being a heel. But I think we're gonna have to wait and find out because I could easily see this to be like a kind of a swerve tactic.
So that's what I'm saying. Is it almost seems like it might be a red herring. Like, hey, we're painting him as a heel, but like we want you to think that, but he's not really.
I could also see that swerve looking to happen, and Nick is the one that's masterminding it. Where, where Ryan is masterminding it. Yeah, where Nick is actually being set up in this whole thing, where you think he's going to go this way. The reason why JBL came down for Nick, and you could see Ryan saying, "I did it for us, like I did it for to make sure that we kept this title." And then Nick could be like, "What are you talking about? We? I did all this stuff myself. It wasn't you had nothing to do with it." And that really propelling the two of them to get into a little feud together, which I think would be really cool.
I think that would be cool. We go right from that. Again, TNA kind of moves at a good pace for their show too. So there's enough time to let something breathe, but they also move along kind of quickly enough, which I like, because immediately after this, after we've kind of registered it, we get Trent Seven, Jake Something, and Hammerstone come out and jump the Hardy Boys and Ace Austin, setting up a 6-man match between those guys next week. So there's not much to talk about. That's literally just what happens in the segment. And it sets up a match. So we're going to have that match next week. I'm kind of excited about that match. I think there's a lot of talent in the ring at that point. But talking about talent in the ring, we get a tag team match with one of my favorite tag teams, the Rascals, versus Alan Angels and Jake Christ. And this was a really exciting. I was really excited going into this match. The Rascals do a lot of that tag team maneuvers that we enjoy watching them do. Like I said, I'm really hoping that the Rascals become that new school rockers team, or Rock and Roll Express. Like they're the young, good looking baby faces that kind of do a lot of speed moves. They're not quite as big as everyone else, but because they double team everybody, everything works out the same way, or works out the right way. Or in this case, even you could associate them with a team that's still wrestling. And that's the most Motor City Machine Guns.
Who were born here?
Who were born here, exactly. And like they even do an homage to them. They literally do that the tag team move where they finish it with like he does the flipping neck thing, and then the guy comes off with the baseball the baseball slide drop kick onto him. Alan Angel. So this is one of those things. Showtime. This is a you thing. Alan Angels hits this cool roll through fisherman buster suplex. It's not a fisherman suplex. He doesn't hit the full pin, but he like rolls through all the way and then hits a buster on it. And that's why I'm okay with him with the fact that the Rascals still kicked out afterwards. But it was such a cool move. And like I said, this is just more proof that this is the best tag team division in wrestling right now. The Rascals end up getting the win. They hit another cool tag team finisher. It's not their usual one. I believe it was something off of their shoulders. Very cool win. Very cool match. I'm glad that the Rascals are back, or they're getting them back on track. And the next thing that we're going to go into is, that's right, guys, it's the match of the week. We get a 6-man tag team match. This is going to be the Northern Armory. So Josh Alexander and Sinner and Saint versus Steve Macklin, Eric Young, and Jonathan Gresham. Big surprise, Jonathan Gresham is here again. This match is kind of a run back from last week, where the Northern Armory had travel issues, and they have to redo this match basically because we got a fake version of it with the Good Hands instead of the other two members of Northern Armory. Macklin starts off the match and he is laying stuff in solid. Like he's just laying into these guys. He's supposed to be on the warpath, and he looks like he's on the warpath. Jonathan Gresham comes in. He hits a lot of amazing wrestling moves. Just nice speed, nice snap to it. And the old man of the group, Eric Young, surprised me in this match because I was talking about Casey Navarro's dropkick. Eric Young hits a beautiful dropkick in this match, and he's not normally a dropkick guy. At least not in this day and age. Maybe, when he was Showtime, Eric Young. I think a lot of people forget, like, it's been long enough that Josh Alexander is just tapping into this hidden heel that he was for a really long time. He was part of a tag team with Ethan Page called The North, and they were former Impact TNA tag team champions. That he's very much channeling that again. Like he's being that guy. He's being a little bit of a wise ass. Eric Young has to dive into the bag of tricks and hits the Young Blood Neckbreaker, which is pretty damn awesome. Gresham and Icarus, actually, I'm always mad about when we see punch exchanges because it's always, okay, you go. Okay, now I go. Okay, now you go. Okay, now I go. And this isn't what they do. Icarus and Gresham get in there and they just start punching each other. Mm-hmm. And like they sell it just enough where this was the right way that the way I have it written here is Gresham and Icarus do a punch exchange the right way. Northern Armory ends up taking the win on this because the baby faces can't seem to get on the same page. Macklin wants to destroy Josh Alexander. Eric Young and Gresham want to win the match. And Macklin just can't get past that. We get a backstage segment with two of our favorites, Showtime, and that's Frankie Kazarian and Rhino.
And Rhino. He doesn't need any trophies to be Kazarian.
Kazarian's like, I don't know why Rhino's in the... I don't know why I'm not getting more credit. Rhino gets into the Hall of Fame, which I should probably be in too, into the TNA Hall of Fame, and I beat him that night to win this, and he passed the cup. And then Rhino comes out and was like, you know what? I don't need a cup or anything else to... And then he cusses a bit. He says the F's and the A's. And then you get Kazarian go, you hear him in the background going, he can swear? He swore! Frankie Kazarian is doing top-notch work right now.
He's so funny. He really is bringing that levity to how serious everything is around him. Like, he's the one that I feel like I'm even rooting for him over Joe Hendry to win the world title.
I agree with this. I have it written down here somewhere. I can't wait for Kaz to deposit his call your shot. I don't know if we can call it cash it in, so he's going to deposit it. Following that little backstage segment, we get Joe Hendry out here against Ryan Nemeth, and we get the director's cut of the Ryan Nemeth story.
Let's get it.
It's literally just that he's called brother.
Same thing. Classic.
Originally going into this match, I was a little bit more psyched up for the entertainment aspect than the match itself. And the match was better than I expected. I was really happy with this. Again, it's a good classic babyface heel match. They do a lot of really cool stuff. They do, Ryan kind of plays the smaller guy, which he is, but he plays the cowardly heel on some of the stuff. Hendry ends up going over with this, going over clean with the standing ovation, which he really holds Ryan Nemeth up there for a minute or two. Showtime, I want to throw this one out to you because we've already mentioned it once as far as a move. I feel like Joe Hendry might be the perfect person to use a fisherman as a finish.
I could definitely see that because the standing ovation, there's just something missing there. Maybe it's half a foot of height that really helps that. Maybe it's turning it into more of a south of heaven where you sit down. Yeah, because it does feel like it's missing something. I'll take it. I'll take the fisherman here.
He does the Hendryplex.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So this is my thing. I think I realized this is why I realized it is he's kind of built like Henning was, like Mr. Perfect is. He's about the same height. He's about the same weight. He's got the arms.
Yeah, he's got that very much that 90s look to him that I feel like has, not that it's gone out of style, but it's just not as prevalent as it once was.
Yeah, like if this was 1992, he'd be considered a really in-shape pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And, Hendry also debuted new gear, finally.
What?
I was getting really tired of the blue and white. It's still basically the same gear, but now now the white is silver. And I kind of like it. Like, it was time to get some newer stuff, some fancier looking duds.
Yeah. But he is too.
Yes. And like I said, I really like the idea of him using the fisherman. I saw it and I was like, I thought about it today and I was like, I'm going to ask Showtime about that. I think he would like him using this fisherman.
I'd approve it, but you can't let anybody kick out. And that's what, when people use the fisherman, let people kick out, it ruins everything.
No, I want him using it as an actual finish. Yeah. Like, this is his finisher. He uses a fisherman suplex as a finisher.
But don't let anybody ever kick out.
No. They can grab the ropes if they're close enough.
Fine. You could do it wrong and leave a foot in the rope from them. That's perfectly fine.
You can do it wrong where you don't lock the fingers.
that's a little bit of a cop out, in my opinion. I get it when the person's so big that you can't do it, like where it's just physically impossible. But you should be most people in TNA. He should be able to hook the fingers.
I agree. So we go right from there. We get Rosemary in a squash match. That's all that really it is. It's literally her versus codename local talent.
Yeah, I like how they're building up Rosemary right now. She's definitely getting a major push here.
I think so. I think they're trying to build her back up. I think they're trying to build back up the women or build the women's division up really nicely because it's pretty obvious Jordan Grace is probably going to be exiting.
She's already
soon.
out the door.
She's doing her greatest hits tour right now, which technically a lot of that starts before just before the main event even does. We get an interaction between Masha Slamovich and Alicia Edwards, which leads to them having a no DQ match next week. Jordan Grace comes out and says, well, I haven't invoked my rematch clause yet for my Knockouts title.
Mm-hmm.
And says, best of luck to both of you. Whoever wins has to fight me at the next pay-per-view. So I believe it's Turning Point is the next pay-per-view. I believe. I could be mistaken. But again, getting another Jordan Grace, Masha Slamovich match. I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
This goes, again, right into the main event, which is going to be Nick Nemeth versus the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers. Most professional. I knew this match was going to be good. I didn't have any question of it. It was as good as I thought it was going to be. The match didn't exceed expectations, but my expectations were high enough for this match to be pretty good to begin with. We get Nick Nemeth going over after some system shenanigans, and after the system shenanigans, let's see, we get Eddie Edwards getting ejected from the ring. We get Alicia trying to screw over Nick. So Joe Hendry is actually on commentary during this. He gets up and literally carries her out of the ring or out of the ringside. And then Nick Nemeth wins the match clean. Eddie Edwards comes back out and jumps Nick. And Joe Hendry ends up coming back out with a kendo stick, making the save. And they bump each other back into each other's backs and Joe Hendry almost turns around and nails Nick Nemeth again by mistake. But he does stop himself this time. He realizes the error of his ways.
Joe Hendry loves the chaos.
He does love that chaos. But that was TNA. Honestly, again, a really good show. They're building real nicely to this next pay-per-view. I'm excited for it. They don't have any the one match that I know for a fact that they have set other than that women's match is it's going to be Nick Nemeth versus Eddie Edwards for the world title. That's going to be a really good match. Really good match. I'm excited for that match. And Legion, if you're out there and you're not watching TNA and you just think that we're spouting off, watch this pay-per-view. I feel like it's going to be good. I think we're going to get a lot of good stuff. I bet you we have a really good tag team match, and that world title match is going to be top notch.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, that was TNA. What's up, Legion? This is Steve Zapf, obviously. For those of you who have been watching us religiously, I need to apologize. We had a lot of technical difficulties with this episode. So the second half of this episode, which was our WWE coverage, unfortunately was deleted completely off of the system. With that said, we are still posting this episode with just the TNA review. We appreciate that. It's a little disappointing, but at the same time, we will get everything out to you next week as normal, along with our review of the Full Gear pay-per-view, our preview of Survivor Series. Not to mention, we have some reviews of both TNA and NXT PLEs coming up. So, guys, please keep paying attention to our content. And I do apologize. And as always, remember, tuck your chin when you bump.